I feel like there's a point in your mid 20s when the reality of time starts setting in. Maybe you're a few years into a job or you've been single just long enough that you realize change isn't really a constant anymore. You always hear the saying, change is the only constant. But at a certain point, it doesn't really feel like that. It feels like the only way that things really change is if you decide to change something about your life. And yeah, obviously, there are external factors like just the world in general that you can't control, which is where I think that saying actually comes from, in that time passes and things change and you can't control that. So, therefore, change is a constant. But I think that's only really external. And unfortunately, we have the ability to make our own lives internally incredibly constant and unchanging. In your mid 20s, it's not like it used to be. There's no new school year, no new friend groups, no new sports team, no new phase of life that's happening multiple times a year like it did when you were a kid. And especially if you're single in your mid to late 20s. I mean, if you're single, you can just work and vibe for your whole life. That's actually a super possible path if you want it. I don't want it. I don't think most people want it, but it's possible. And recently, I think it has been dawning on me as I think I'm at that point in life a little bit. And I'll tell a story that kind of illustrates that a little bit. So I have a friend group that has started doing a Thanksgiving gathering every year. I think it started about 3 to 4 years ago. It might have started way before, but at least I started going right after college. And around 30 to 40 people show up, and it's awesome and it's super, exciting. And I'm thankful to have that community. But this year, I looked around and I realized that I've known some of these people for a long time. And it's a big mix of people that have all been friends for a long time in general. We don't all live in the same place. So it's cool that we all get together. But as I'm having these conversations with people, I'm realizing some of these people I've known for 3 years, some for five, some for 10. And then there was someone that I've known since fifth grade, which was almost 17 years ago. And in that, I've realized just how quickly time passes now. And in a way, it's kind of cool. You get to see people grow and change, and you have people that you really get to share life with. And sometimes I feel like that's all that you can really ask for. However, it also tells me that any change that I want to make in my life requires far more initiative and effort because really things haven't changed that much in the past few years of my life relative to how dynamic and ever changing childhood was. If you want to meet new people, date someone, find a new job, anything along those lines, it means you have to do it. It's way less likely to happen by circumstance. Whereas when you were a kid, you had a chance to meet a new best friend like every single day, and that was exciting. Now you actually have to create that excitement for life. And as a kid, I remember I never really understood why people were unhappy or why people settled for an hour long plus commute every day for 20 years or why everything wasn't fun all the time, which obviously was a kid thought. And I think most of the time as a kid, I was either having fun or trying to have fun. And that's definitely a privileged position to be in as a kid. And I'm thankful for that. But as I got older, the practical parts of what makes life maybe boring sometimes clicked. Like, you need to make money, you need to feed your family, we need some sense of purpose. And there's countless outstanding circumstances that make something consistent and reliable, like a job, super important. And there's also this advice, I guess you could say, call it advice. I don't really know what it is, but this thought going around that working a job is like this terrible thing that only provides you money, but it sucks all purpose out of your life and you're going to be sad and depressed and lonely and like all of that stuff. And that is just simply not true. And it's annoying to have people consistently kind of poop on like having a corporate job or whatever it is. And it's annoying because one, you can meet so many people that teach you things. Two, you can meet friends. Contrary to popular belief, you can make friends at work. And three, you really can find purpose at work. And anyone that tells you that you can't at a job is lying to you. That's not every job. Like I know a lot of people who have had terrible jobs and multiple terrible jobs, but on average, that doomsday corporate job advice is totally overblown. However, sort of on a similar thread, I have realized that it is so easy to fall into a numbing routine, especially when you work a job. So, and I think just generally throughout life, it doesn't even need to be working a job that you fall into a numbing routine. It can be just life because as an adult, things get repetitive and routine. So, this is not just siloed to having a corporate job, but it goes like this: you eat, you work, you eat, you work, you eat, you scroll, you sleep, you poop, whatever. And that's like what a lot of people's lives are. And my life has been that for a period of time. And sometimes there are just periods of time in general where things are uneventful and maybe boring or whatever. And like that's what you do. And I think to some extent that's okay, but it's also a trap. And I don't want to fall into that trap. I think subconsciously I've believed that some external circumstance is going to change, whether it be job or wherever I live or something, just anything that I have nothing to do with would change, and that change would make me feel at peace or would provide some excitement that would provide fulfillment in life. Something would come along. But evidence says that it's not coming. It hasn't yet. Probably never will. And I don't know. I'm kind of tired of existing in that expectation. So I want to do more work on creating my own excitement. And I feel like this is a message that I've heard so many times, but it is true. I've spent a lot of time pursuing a bunch of things in the years after college, from music to health coaching, even trying to get into animation, YouTube, all of these things that I thought would click just at some point. And I've realized they don't just click. You have to make them click. And this goes for every single aspect of life. I think sometimes I hear these stories of spontaneous success or whatever it is, but it is never simple. It's never exactly spontaneous. And if it is, it's a serious outlier. And chances are you're not the outlier. So you might as well put in the work. So, anyway, I think that's what I got for today. Hope you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. Maybe some fun clips of me and my friends playing games coming soon. So, have a good day. Peace.